Let's turn up the sound, please.
안식권, 안차, 지계식에 있어서의 참부모님의 축복을 전수하나이다.
아주. It's just 22 seconds. But these 22 seconds are what marked the beginning of a new era. What Father says, and I want to go through this in detail in English. This was, first of all, was an event that was held 3 times. First on January 15th, 2009 in Cheongpyeong. And then again, January 31st, 2009, also in Cheongpyeong. And then Father made use of the time difference, the 14-hour time difference during the winter between Korea and the United States. And right after the event in Cheongpyeong, everybody got on a plane and came to New York, and then where it was still January 31st, and held the same event again at the Manhattan Center. That must be something pretty important, don't you think? It was the same ceremony 3 times. On 2 continents, 2 hemispheres. And this is not the inauguration of the world chairman, by the way. Some people get that confused. That happened in April 2008. And this is not that. This is January of 2009. And here he says, first he begins by naming the event where he's at, and he says, at the coronation for the settlement of the parents of heaven, earth, and humanity in the realm of settlement, I transmit the blessing of true parents. The verb in Korean that he uses is chonsu, chonsu. Chonsu means to transmit. It can also be translated to deposit or to bestow. It means that someone who has some knowledge or some technique or something like that transmits it to someone else. They can if it's a blessing, they can deposit it or bestow it on someone else. And then he uses the verb ending hanaida, chonsu hanaida. You know, and I looked up that word verb ending hanaida and I asked several Koreans about this, and I Googled it. And there's only one instance, one type of instance where that verb ending is used, and that is in a prayer to God. The only time that I could find on the Korean Google or any place else where people use this verb ending was when they were addressing God. So here Father is telling God that I, at this event, bestow the blessing of true parents. And he's bestowing it on the 2 people who are standing in front of him, that is, 형제님 and 연하님. That's a pretty momentous occasion. And then in 2010, he signed a document that we've seen many times where he says that anyone else is a heretic and a destroyer. That it is only Moon Hyung-jin who is the representative body and the inheritor. So from that point, we have to say that we have the physical manifestation of true parents on earth in Hyungjinim and Yonanim. And there is this unbreakable connection between true father and Hyungjinim now. And that is why the Family Federation doesn't stand a chance. And no matter how much they struggle, they cannot defeat the Sanctuary Church. They can send some guy around the country lecturing about True Mother. That's not going to do it. We'll watch, see. It's not going to do it. He can have all the PhDs and THDs and DDDDDs after his name. It's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. Because that man is trying to defeat something that Father has instituted. Now some people say that, well, Hyungjinim had his portion of responsibility. Yes, he did. He had a choice. He didn't have to accept that blessing. You know, he could have said, you know what, I'm going to go back to Harvard, get my PhD, and I'm going to go teach comparative religion in some place and raise my children in some college town someplace. He could have done that. And Kukjinim could have said, I'm just going to focus on my businesses and become rich and just enjoy my life. And we'll just forget about the church. Forget about Father's teachings and his legacy. That was a choice. It was a real choice. They could have done that. But accepting the blessing was the portion of responsibility. And fortunately for us, and for all humanity, that's what they did. I am so grateful that that's what they did. All of humanity owes them a huge debt of gratitude for making that choice to accept the blessing and to run with it and to develop it so that Father's legacy, so that Father's work on this earth could continue.